Okay, now I would like to show you how to create an illustration using segmenting. I'm going to make a little car, kind of a Volkswagen-ish type of car. I'm going to get the rectangle tool, and I want a rounded rectangle. So when I get this tool, the default is 0, but I'm going to increase that corner radius and make a rectangle like this. Okay, so now I've got these rounded um, corners there. By the way, this was done in object mode. I had that on in object mode, which means it will not segment. It won't interact with anything else. Okay, so if I did create it in object mode, in order for it to interact and segment, I've got to break it apart. So I've selected it. I can tell it's done in object mode because it has that line around it, that rectangle. Two ways to break that apart. I can go to Modify, Break Apart, or I can learn this key command, Command B. Command B, that's very useful. You should learn that. Okay, Command B breaks it apart, and now it is it's not an object anymore. It can be segmented. Alright, so I'm ready to segment it. I want to cut off the bottom of this so that I have just that top part to be the body of the car. I'll get the rectangle tool. I'll give myself a stroke of none. I'll change the fill color because if it's green, it'll add to the shape. It won't subtract. So it needs to be a different color for the segmenting to happen. Okay, and then I want a clean straight cut. So I want the corner radius of my rectangle to be 0. And now watch what happens. I'm going to make a rectangle and let go. And oh yeah, I did have object drawing mode on. I need to just turn that off. I'll turn that off. Since this was an object drawing mode, it's not interacting with the rectangle behind it. But I can tell it's selected because it's got a blue line. So I'm going to do Command B and break it apart. And now it does interact. Segmenting will happen. If I delete this, the bottom half of the car is now gone because of segmenting. However, I'm not real happy with the way it turned out because the stroke goes past the body and I wanted a clean cut straight across. The reason for that is that the stroke acts differently than the fill. It has a rounded end cap and it has a point size it has to have. So what I need to do is convert this stroke into a fill also, and I can do that. So I'm going to undo, Command Z, Command Z. There we go. Okay. What I want to do is select this stroke. I double click the stroke. I'll do Modify, Shape, Convert Lines to Fills, and that's going to turn this stroke into just another fill. Okay, and when I do that, it doesn't look any different, but when I do that, the tool that I use to cut it in half will actually segment also the stroke just like the fill. Alright, so now I'm going to get the rectangle tool back. Object drawing is off. Corner radius is 0, no stroke. I've got a different color. Watch this. I'm going to drag across and select the fill, and when I delete, it gives me a nice clean cut all the way across. Okay, now I want to do the top of the car, and I'm going to try the ellipse for this, and I want to match the color of what I had. So I'll click in Properties, I'll click the stroke color, and with the eyedropper match the stroke. I'll click the fill color with the eyedropper, match the fill. Then I will get my rectangle tool, and for a moment I do want it to be in object drawing mode because I'm going to want to reshape it. So I'm going to just click that on. I'll make an ellipse, kind of like what I want. Okay, I'll deselect it so that I can reshape it. I'll just make it go further in the back and a more gradual curve back here. I could do that, I guess. Okay, I'll do that. Alright, maybe push this up a little bit. Okay, now I want this shape to interact with that shape. So in order for that to happen, I've got to break it apart. So I select it, Command B, I break it apart. And then I don't need that segment right there. And I can click on this and notice that gives me a nice break here and here. It didn't select the whole thing because since I broke it apart, this is interacting with that. And so it's segmented. So I'll delete it, and notice that I don't get a white hole or anything. It fills it completely with green. All right, so that's the way that segmenting works. When you delete a stroke, the fill stays complete. Now, some different things are going on here. This part, this is a fill because I converted it to a fill. This is still a stroke. Okay, so I want to erase this part of the stroke that is kind of in the way here. Yeah, I want to erase that little part right there. So I'm going to get the eraser tool, and there are different eraser modes. There's erase normal, which just it erases whatever. There's erase fills, it'll erase the fill. Erase lines will erase strokes only. Selected fills, only selected fills, and then erase inside. I'm going to try this erase lines, see how it works. And there, yeah, you'll notice I had to go in a little deeper than you may have thought I would have to. Okay, I'm going to go over here, and I don't know why my scroller's not working. Let me just zoom out. Okay, I'll get this, and I'll kind of rub over that, and I know that it won't erase this because that's a fill. See, the fills are not being erased. A line would be, because that's still a line. So I can kind of erase right here and cut a little too far into it, so I don't want to do it that much. So I'll just kind of go like this, like that, and it's still being stubborn. So I'm going to select this stroke, in fact the whole thing, and I'm going to do what I did with the other. I'm going to modify, shape, convert lines to fills, and then with the eraser I'm going to do erase selected fills. That's this option right here, erase selected fills. So it's not going to erase any other fill except this one I've got selected. So now I can rub across it there, and a little too much. Yeah, okay, it gave me a little bit of a hole there. Okay, so I might, just to clean that up, I might get the paint bucket and click in there and fill that up. Here I could kind of pull that point down so it kind of cleans that up. Okay, so now I've got the body of the car. Alright, now I'm going to make the wheels. Alright, so I'm going to get the oval tool. I'm going to change the colors like so. Okay, and I think for a second I'm going to work in object mode because I don't want it to interact with the car. So I'm going to make a circle there. Okay, and then I'm going to need to make a hubcap. So I'll get the oval tool again. I'll make the color lighter, maybe no stroke. Maybe a stroke, because that'd be the rim. Okay, so yeah, I'll go with that. And then I'll make another smaller circle like this. And then I'll position it where I want it to be. I could use guidelines if I wanted to. And then I can select both of these, hold down the Shift key and get both of these together. And I'll do modify. I'll do break apart so that I can join them together. And then I'll do convert to symbol, call it wheel. Okay, and it did interact when it was broken apart. That's okay with me. That doesn't bother me. In fact, since it did interact and made that gap, I will put this on a layer underneath the car. So I will cut it, Command X. I'll go down to layers here. I'll add a new layer. This first layer is car. This layer up here I'll call wheels. Okay, but I want the wheels under the car, so I'll just press and drag that layer underneath. I'll lock this layer, and now that I have that layer selected, I'll Shift Command V to paste in place, and there's the wheel under the car. I could push it up a little bit like that if I want to, and it looks, you know, I mean, you can spend a lot of time to make this look better, but that's kind of what I want. If I wanted to, I could lock the wheels, go up to the car, maybe push that a little if I need to. Oops. You know, whatever. I could reshape this and make it better. I'm not going to agonize over it now just for the sake of time, but you can see how you could do this. Okay. All right, now I need to make another similar situation back here. Sometimes the back of a car will have a kind of a protrusion that kind of protects the wheel there, so I'll just select this wheel, I'll copy, I'll paste. Actually, let me do this. I'm going to paste in place, Shift Command V, which pastes it in exactly the same place. I'll hold down Shift and use the right arrow, put this back here, okay? And then maybe on this top layer, I might make another shape. I want it to be green as well, maybe a darker green with no stroke. And I will use object mode for a bit, and kind of reshape this. Like so. Okay. I want to cut that, so I'll use segmenting. I'll get a rectangle tool. I got to change the color of the rectangle so that it will cut it. I made that in object mode, so I have to break it apart. Command B. Okay, and this is important. That's not broken apart either, so I have to do, and it went behind this. Since this is an object and this wasn't, the object takes precedent. It's protected, so it came to the front. And I actually don't see this. Well, I guess I could move it to the front, so I'm going to go modify, arrange. Oh, it's not going to bring it to the front. Let's see. Okay. Oh yeah, I'll have to group it first. So I'll do Command G will turn this into a group, which is like the same as an object. Now I'll select both of these things. I'll do Command B to break them apart, and now they will segment, and there we go. I've got that little thing right there. I can use the pen tool and make kind of a window. Let's see, I'll give myself, well, I won't worry about the full color yet. I'll give myself a stroke color that's that blue as I work with the pen tool. So here I go. There we go. And this is, you know, a graphic that I can play with. Okay. Not entirely accurate, but you get the basic idea. Okay, I want the windshield to have a different color. So I might select this graphic and break it apart, Command B, because I made it with the pen tool, so it was automatically an object. Now I can get the paint bucket. I can give it the window a different color, click inside, and it fills right there. So there we go. There's a little, you know, bug. I could draw, you know, fenders here and fenders there. I could put a door. I could put a back window. But you see basically how this all works. Okay. All right. Now That's done, and next we'll talk about how to turn this into a symbol and animate this thing.